A very good evening, everybody. Today is the second day of our presentation. Semester 1 students are making their presentations. And today they are making presentations on neoclassical literature. Let us have a look at their topics and the list of the students who are presenting in this third session of the second day. Okay, so we will have in this evening slot, first presentation by YASHRAJSINH on Virtuous, Heroine, Pamela's role in shaping moral norms. And I think here you are talking about Pamela as a character, not as a text. Okay, Pamela as a character. UNNATI's presentation will be on ethical and moral dilemmas in the rape of the lock. TRUPTI will make it on the rape of the lock and character comparison. SHRUTI will read on biography of Thomas Gray. RIYA's presentation will be on religion, class and marriage during neoclassical period and in contemporary times. In neoclassical period, P also should be capital. RESHMA's presentation will be on Robert Burns. There is the lyricist. Okay, so there is unnecessary apostrophe after Burns. S on S. There is no need to put that. PRIYANSHIBA will make it on the reflection of 18th century thought in the works of Thomas Gray. Okay. PALLAVI's will be on obsession for beauty in the rape of the lock, significance in modern society. Okay. NANDA's will be on character sketch of Mr.B in Samuel Richardson's novel Pamela. Okay. KINJAL's will be on rape of the lock, a heroic epic poem. There is this problem in the title. You have put two inverted commas. O is unnecessarily capital in of. Yes, KINJAL. Where is KINJAL? Yeah. So O should not be capital in of. The also should not be capital in the lock. Okay. Then you want to say rape of the lock, a heroic epic poem or mock heroic epic poem. You need to correct. So correct your title properly according to what you want to make in a presentation. Title of the work should also be, if there is the, then the. If it is A, then A. Whatever is used in the title, that we have to use. We can't change the to A or A to the, or we can't even remove both the words also if it is in the title. Last one for the day will be by KHUSHI on critically analyze Robert Burns, a red rose. Robert Burns' poem, you can say Burns apostrophe S, poem, a red rose. Okay, let us start with the first presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am YASHRAJSINH. Today, I am going to discuss about the virtuous heroine, the Pamela's role in shaping moral norms. Uh, Here is my personal information. Okay. So first of all, the Pamela, or we can say the subtitle "Virtue Rewarded." It was the novel, epistolary novel written by Samuel Richardson. Country England. The language is used English. Generally, we also mentioned epistolary novel, which is the form in the form of letters. The novel is written. It is also the starting form of the novel. So epistolary novel, published as Messrs. Revington and Obscon. Publication year is 1740. Now, what we find in the novel, what type of morality we find in the major character Pamela. First of all, the chastity. Chastity means the person who is not having any physical relationship with other person before marriage. So, chastity in the Pamela, we find that his uh, employer force him to have that type of relation, but she denies and she wants to be virgin till the marriage. Modesty, we find modesty means which the person has the less respect for herself. He is giving more respect to other person. Modesty, we find she is honest, we find towards his employers, and he's like honest girl, and she speaks the truth. And when she talks about to the her parents, she's honest. Whatever he's saying, it is true. Humility, we find she's not giving any that type of words, or she can't uh, express herself in a big background. So he's humility, we find that. And she is compassionate towards the when we find the Mrs. B is not well, the health is not good. So we find that compassion in the character of Pamela. Faith, we find that in different types of no sorry later he is compass sorry forgive faith in the God. She is reminding God when the different types of difficult situation arises in her life. Forgiveness, we find at the end of the whatever the Mr. B has done to her, still she forgives him and marries with him. Devotion to family, she continuously sending letters what is happening in her life to that the family. This type of morality we find in the play, sorry, in the novel. Now, importance of virtue in the and religion in Richardson's life. This is Samuel Richardson is the writer, as we know, and how he imposed these religious and moral ideas in the novel. In the article, Larry Bellwell said that Samuel Richardson wrote Pamela as an example of the value of moral behavior, believing that in the direct intervention of the dot, Richardson felt that the virtuous actions led to success on earth as well as in the heaven. As we find that Richardson has that belief that afterlife is there, religious beliefs are there. He believes in certain things, and in Pamela we also find he is a really religion person, and he portrays her character, Pamela's character, in same way. In the second paragraph, we also find my own industry and God's providence of all of my whole reliance in the mind of Samuel Richardson. People had the right to independent action and obligation to the work and God's help towards the end. And towards the end means the God is like making people do whatever they want to do, and they God helps him as a writer. Ensure in the beginning, Richardson says that all the acts that humans do, it is because of the God, and one should have the faith in the God. So these are the arguments we find in by the Larry in the article. Now in the original text we also find some of the dialogues, some of the things that Pamela writes in the letter. I never will do anything that shall bring your gray hairs with some sorrow to the grave. I will die 1,000 deaths rather than be dishonest anyway. Writes this letter to his parents that I will not do anything that will do with the reputation of their parents, her parents. For a robber person, in the virtue is worse than cunning. The thought, it is like the virtue is more important than the life. And the another thing we also find, your rings, sir, your necklace. She is saying that to the Mr.B, that you are giving that much gifts to me, but it doesn't matter. My virtue is my real jewelry. In conclusion, we find that Richardson wants to promote mobility through the novel. He wants to make 18th century more better way. He wants to promote mobility. Title Virtue Rewarded. We find that virtue that is been rewarded. Whatever virtuous person do, in the end, he rewarded by that. One should be virtuous by ancestry and heredity. That would the person's moral values comes through the parents. Though we heredity, we find Richardson wants to make a critique of aristocracy. As we know, Mr.B tries to exploit Pamela in a physical way. So he is also doing that, critiquing the aristocracy. He wants to impose moral lesson to the 18th century. Whatever Richardson believes, he wants to impose that into the 18th century people. He wants to make that well over, that morality and ethics should be like that. Richardson portrays his own morals and virtues in the character of Pamela. In the Pamela, we find the same characteristic of Richardson has, and those virtues can't be applied in contemporary world. All the virtues, how Pamela behaves, we can't expect from the person, and person should not do that type of virtuous things in the 21st century. So we also find that. These are the references. You can find the more further information in that. Thank you. That is for from my side. Now you can ask me questions.
Yashraj, my question is, how does Pamela's character exemplify virtuous behavior in the novel?
Okay. How does Pamela's character exemplify virtuous behavior in the novel? We find that virtuous sees now and again whatever Mr.B does to her, but still she is faithful to her parents. So honesty we find, mobility we find in her character, faithful towards a God, that is also the virtue we find. And when she is in the difficult situation, still she doesn't deny the existence of God. She is like really good towards her parents. So these type of virtuous quality we find in the Pamela, what Richardson wants to express through the Pamela's character. So these type of things, virtuous behavior we find in the novel. Next question.
The question is, how does Richardson portray his own moral and virtues in the character of Pamela?
How does Richardson portray his own morals and virtues in the character of Pamela? As the three from the article, I have taken three parts. That in Richardson life, when he wrote this novel, he was 52 years old, and during that period of time, he is really religious. And in the different types of writing, he expressed himself what type of religious beliefs he has. So in the Pamela's character, the religion beliefs. So in the this presentation, we also find this characteristic that Richardson is believing that all the actions that humans do, it is because of the God only, and one should be always faithful to the God. So in the Pamela's character, we also find she is faithful to the God, and different types of virtues we also find in the character of Pamela. So we find that different pictures that Richardson wants to portray through the Pamela's character, we also find in the novel, in the letters also, what she writes to her parents and to other person also. Yeah, thank you.
So, yes, very good evening, everyone. Today, my topic is ethical and moral dilemmas in the rape of the law. These are my personal informations. And yes, content about the poet will go, and then overview of the poem, narcissism and excess, trivial disputes, supernatural elements, and social critic. Will go through the recognized as one of the most poetic talent, that is Alexander Pope. His time duration was 1688 to 1744. He was a poet, translator, and a satirist, mostly educated at a Catholic school. His parents was also Catholics. And some of his famous works are Essay on Criticism, 1711, Poem in Heroic Couplets, The Rape of the Lock, first part, which was written in two cantos, which was in 1712, and then the later one in 1714, a mock epic poem. And he suffered from he has a disease, we can say tuberculosis of spine, that is Pott's disease. And at the age of 56 he died. Overview of the poem. The poem consists of 5 cantos written in rhyming couplets. The major event of the poem, a lock of hair from a young lady named Belinda, is cut by her suitor, Baron. Yes, the whole central idea, we can say, is the protagonist is revolving around the Belinda. The pop's poem is given over to interact comical descriptions of Belinda's boudoir. Like we can see that everything is roaming, like I has mentioned, that around the Belinda, that how the trivial incident happens, like a cutting of a lock of a hair, and the scene is created. In the end, the soft sorrows, melting griefs, and flowing tears. First, we'll go through narcissism and excess. This satirizes extravagant and frivolous lifestyle. We can see that in the Pop's work, in this, he is satirizing the England's 18th century upper class people, like how their lifestyles are and what they used to do. Appearance and social status were given more importance for them, for upper class people. The poem is preoccupied with material possessions, elaborate clothings, and superficial beauties. They were all the ladies, like we can say, and everyone of their time, especially the upper class peoples. They were very self obsessed with their beauty and all. Like serves as a social commentary on the salonage of upper class in Pop's time. Trivial disputes. Disputes are the central theme. Like cutting of a hair of a lock is not that much big thing that it is shown as shown. But yes, satirical portrait of upper class society of Pop's time focuses on a seemingly inconsequential incident. What is that incident? That hair of a cutting of a lock. How social customs and convictions can lead to absurd conflicts and overblown reactions. Then we can see that how her reaction was, she was crying, and her reaction was too much loud. Like there is much in the life, like not the beauty. It's there is not only the beauty, we also have to like learn and a lot of things which can be taken into consideration, neither on the silly topics. Supernatural elements. This element is mainly associated with the character Errol. Here, uh, Pop uses the word machinery for sylphs led by Errol. He thinks that machinery word is used as Errol is used here, as he thinks that people believes that this mirch masala and all, if they do believes in that supernatural beliefs, so he thought that including such elements in his work. These sylphs have supernatural qualities and intervene in human affairs to protect Belinda. He was this Errol was there as a protector for her hair, and creates a light-hearted narrative through satire on ordinary and supernatural blends. Social critic. Here, materialism and consumerism. Materialism, he is concerned more with the beauties and superficial, beauty and everything, gender roles and social norms. Here Belinda is a very passive heroine, whereas the other male characters are, we can say, schemer, the one who cuts the hair. They are considered as a schemer, like social frivolity and manners. Yes, silliness, we can see that how they are playing cards and in social gatherings and all such things. Satirizes the aristocracy tendency. Yes. And yes, conclusion. The Rape of the Lock, Alexander Pope uses humor, wit, and irony to critique the values and behavior of the upper class in 18th century England. Pope sheds light on the superficiality, materialism, and social norms of the time with trivial matters and the lack of self awareness. These are some of the things which trigger the ethical and moral dilemmas in the poem. Yes, these are my references. And thank you. If anyone have any questions, can ask.
Unnati, my question is, how does the poem address the moral dilemma of vanity and self-importance?
Okay. Um, when it comes to vanity and self-importance, we can say that they are so much obsessed with themselves, the upper class, 18th century, as Pop mentioned in his work, that how they are self-obsessed. They are only considered with the beauty and the playing of cards and like games. We can see that their uh, silly things that they are focusing on rather than the life's more things which are to be considered. Yes.
Unnati, my question is, what is the moral lesson of rape of the lock in the relation to human folly?
Yes. I would like to say that human folly is like silliness that people does during that time was, as I mentioned, that they don't focus on the works that which are really need to be, which are really essential in the life, rather than focusing on the silly things. Yes. Thank you.
There's some questions from the online viewers, so you can reply in the chat.
Hello everyone. My topic is the rape of the lock and character comparison. These are my personal details. These are the points to ponder though. So the first one is about the rape of the law. Second is a woman and empire in rape of the law. Next is character comparison, and in the last there is a conclusion. About the rape of the lock. The rape of the lock, mock epic poem in heroic couplets by Alexander Pope. The first version, published in 1712, consisted of two cantos. The final version, published in 1714, was expanded to five cantos. Based on an actual incident, the writer to reconcile the families that had been estranged by it. The Rape of the Lock recounts the story of a young woman who has a lock of hair stolen by an ardent young man. Pope couches the trivia Greek and the Trojans. The poem marries a rich range of literary allusions and an ironic commentary on the contemporary social world with a sense of suppressed energy threatening to break through the veneer of civilization. Woman and the empower in the rape of the law. So this is a Salma named female research paper. So I took it from them. In the poem, there is a this is her point of view. In the poem, there is a invented another story of rape. That is the ravishing of the British Empire. The metaphorical female, whereas the real female figure is active in the epic. The metaphorical female is passively present in its gorgeous setting, laden with the price of the imperial excursion during the first phase of the British Empire. As Belinda becomes an object of desire because of her ornamented locks, so does the British Empire, the female land body, because of her precious treasures. This indicates that to the patriarchy and its byproduct, imperialism, female wear, whether it is a real or metaphorical, it is the object to be desired and possessed. And as the objects that the masculine desire, woman and the empower have to same doom, rape. Salma in the paper argues that the ornamented locks of Belinda and treasures from the empire function as a synecdoche, and the treasures of the lock means brutal violence of the empire. Consequently, Belinda and empire become interchangeable, and its identical identity offers a rereading of the epic as a model for patriarchal and colonial dominance. This is a character comparison of Belinda and Clarissa. We can see in the poem that Belinda and Clarissa, there are so many differences. Clarissa is more practical than Belinda. Belinda, in the poem's protagonist, she embodies the idealization, feminine beauty, and grace of the 18th century upper class. On the other hand, Clarissa is Belinda's friend, and she is portrayed as a wise, rational, and level-headed. She offers a contrast to Belinda's more emotional and impulsive nature. While Belinda's values are centered around her appearance, beauty, and vanity, she is so obsessed with her appearances and the outer beauty. While Clarissa, she does not care about being a decent person. Clarissa values are less focused on superficial matters. She presents a more balanced and sensible perspective, emphasizing reason and moderation over vanity. While Belinda reacts to the rape of the look of her with strong emotion, including distress, anger, and desire of revenge. Clarissa reacts to loss of Belinda's lock of hair with a more measured and philosophical view. Belinda symbolized the superficiality and shallowness of the upper class society. And on the other hand, Clarissa serves a foil to Belinda's character. Her rationality and programmat- programmatist, programmatism and contrast with Belinda's emotional excession. In the last, there is a conclusion. The research paper of Salmas offers a valid and well-supported interpretation of the poem. It justified by the textual evidence, historical context, symbolism, and thematic elements found in the poem. The paper offers a thought-provoking interpretation and highlights the connection between the objectification and violence of women and nationals, ultimately serving as a critique of patriarchal and colonial dominance. In line with critical literary and historical perspectives, the stark contrast between Clarissa and Belinda serve as a satirical device in the poem. While Clarissa embodies the virtuous and prudent aspects of femininity, Belinda symbolizes the excessive preoccupation with appearance and superficiality. This juxtaposition in, enables popes to critique the social values and behavior of his time. The poem ultimately illustrates the tension between reason and vanity, morality and excesses, and traditional and extravagance. The character of Clarissa and Belinda, in their differences, underscore these themes and contribute to the satirical commentary on the poem. These are my references. Now you can ask me a question.
Trupti, my question is, how does Belinda's obsession with her physical appearance and beauty reflect the values and societal norms of 80th century?
Okay. As we can see in the Rape of the Lock poem, Belinda is a character like she is obsessed with her outer look, external beauty, and in this, we can see that 18th century peoples are more interesting in like social class, social status, superstitions, chastity, like this. Values, and Belinda is kind of that person, like she is believe in the outer beauty. In now in even today people are believing like that outer beauty, chastity and superstition are important, but the Rape of the Lock poem exposed hollowness and triviality of these terms.
So, yes, Tutti, in what ways does Clarissa serve as a foil to Belinda, and how do their personalities contrast?
As we can see this personality contrast in Belinda and Clarissa's comparison. Belinda is kind of obsessed with beauty, while Clarissa is does not care about being a decent person, or Clarissa is a kind of genuine person, like and more practical compared to Belinda. As we can see, when Belinda's hair gets cut, Belinda is freaked out, while Clarissa take it so calmly and managing all things. Thank you.
Camera focus frame coming inside. Back. Not this side, inside.
Inside.
Okay. By the time she gets ready, you keep your things open. So, we discussed the other day that when you cite from this study material sites, so I think this was in UNNATI's one. Course hero was cited. So as we told that avoid citing from study material sites. unless like there is something good, like something unique presented by this, like if you have talked about this plot diagram, and then you want to, then it is okay. Otherwise, for general information, there is no need to cite this, or we discuss this in literature infographics in the class. So if you are citing this and you cite it, then okay. Otherwise, for general info like characters or theme or plot, you should not cite. Is that you are supposed to gather from original text. All that information you are supposed to gather from original text, not from study material side. So that should be out unless there is some uniqueness which you are citing. Yes, you can start.
Hello everyone, I'm Shruti. I'm gonna present you guys the biography of Thomas Gray. My introduction. Let's talk about early life and education. He was born in Cornhill district of London in 1716. Gray was the son of Dorothy Antrobus Gray, his mother a milliner, and Philip Gray, his father a scrivener. Gray's father was a mentally disturbed and violent man who at times abused his wife. Gray attended Eton School from 1725 until 1734 when he entered Cambridge University. He left Cambridge in 1738 without taking a degree, intending to study law in London. However, he and childhood friend Horace Walpole embarked on an extended tour of Europe. Two separated in Italy in 1741 after a quarrel, and Gray continued the journey on his own. He returned to London later in the year, shortly before his father died. In 1742, Gray wrote his first measured poem, Ode on the Spring, which he sent to his close friend Richard Waste unknowingly on the very day of Waste's death from tuberculosis. These are the major works and famous works of Thomas Gray. First, Ode on a distant prospect of Eton College, Ode on a Spring, Elegy written in a country churchyard, and his genre, poetry and non-fiction. And let's talk about his journey from bard to professor. Gray's mother died on March 11, 1753, shortly after Gray had begun his famous Pindaric Odes, which were published by his friend Horace Walpole in a slim volume in 1757 and were received by a less than appreciative public. His friend Horace Walpole was the son of a English politician, and that's why he helped him during his education at Eton College. From this point on, Gray wrote little more poetry, and in July 1759, he moved to London to study at the British Museum, which had been opened to the public in January in December 1761. In July 1768, Gray was made professor of modern history at Cambridge, though he never actually lectured or published on the subject. Meanwhile, modern history was taking place in the colonies as the British East India Company conquered more and more of India in the name of the crown. The most significant event of Gray's last years, however, was personal. It was his brief, intense friendship with a young Swiss student, Carl Victor von Brunstetten. Let's talk about Thomas Gray's works in literary context. Gray remains an important poet in the context of a less than striking era for poetry during the latter half of the 18th century. One of the Gray's typical plots has to do with engaging some figure of desire in order to reject it, as in the Ode on the Spring, or as in the Ode on a distant prospect of Eton College, to lament lost innocence. Sometimes, as in a hymn to adversity, a harsh and repressive figure is conjured to reject excessive desire to aid in the formation of a modest friendship, the socially acceptable substitute of sexual desire. This is the most famous phrase, and also we can call it a quote by Thomas Gray, where ignorance is bliss, tis folly to be wise. That simply means that it's better not to know something. If knowledge bring unhappiness in your life, it's better to be ignorant. Let's talk. Let me give you an instance. If you bought a new phone and after some time a company came up with a sale and the festival season arrived, and the price of the phone literally got dropped, and you just found out that the price has dropped, and now it will hit your mind that the price is less, and if you have bought earlier, then you have paid so much price. This is my work citation. Thank you. If you have any question, ask me.
Shruti, my question is, who were the closest friends of Thomas Gray and how did he come across with them?
Horace Walpole and Richard Weiss were the closest friend of Thomas Gray, and he came across with them at the Eton College, and they have completely changed his life and the lifestyle and the entire pattern of his life. Next.
Yes. Where did the phrase "ignorance is bliss" originated from?
The phrase ignorance is bliss is originated from the most famous work of Thomas Gray, Odd on the Distance Prospect at Eton College. Uh, and Thomas Gray coined out this phrase, and now it is used by everyone as an idiom. Thank you.
Okay, so very good evening, all of you. Today, the second day of our presentation, and I'm going to present the religion, class, and marriage during Neoclassical period and in the contemporary time. This is my personal information. These are points that I'm going to deal with today. Introduction. Neoclassical literature was written between 1660 to 1798. Writers of this particular period tried to imitate the style of Romans and Greek, neo and classical. From these two words, neoclassical period was arrived. The writers emphasized order, reason, and balance, and their works were characterized by their elegance, clarity, and moral instructiveness. The neoclassical period in English literature often divided in three subtitles: Restoration period, the Augustan period, and the Age of Johnson. Religion. Firstly, neoclassical age was period of rapid social and political changes. It was also time of great religious conflict as Protestantism and Catholicism clashed in 30 years war. As we already many a time discuss in our regular class, that every religion says that our religion religious says that we our religious is peaceful, our religious has more moral and ethical issues, but if we read in deeply, then we get to know that all religions were fighting with each other. Inner conflicts were constantly there in the religion. This is the quote from Swift's Tale of the Tub, which means that Swift by this quote wants to say that not every time religious means that only uh, appearance by mean what you shows is only religion, but more important thing is moral and ethical values that every religion should show. Continuing, those who are in power will always try to use religion to their advantage, and religious is powerful tool that can be used for good or evil. As we know that in contemporary times, so many religious temples are uh, 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 architects by other, and even we have now temple management course in our study. So religious is now more becoming powerful class. Neoclassical age was period of economical growth and technical invention. Also, it was also a time of great social political upheaval as class conflict intensified between the growing working class and the wealthy industrial elite. As we already know that in the neoclassical period that more writers are following Greek and Romans and Aristotelian concept. In this Pamela, if we see by Richardson, the dialogue was, you are now master of me, and all the rest of my life is at your disposal. I never mean to do you any harm, and I'm sure you could not have been so cruel if you had not been put upon by weak people. By this dialogue of Pamela, we can say that how Richardson tries to express the classism, that upper class and lower class, high class family, how they behave with lower class, or we can say that servants. Here, the class and marriage dialogues from Richardson's Pamela. Mr. Pamela replies to Mr. B that I'm not proud, but I'm not mean spirited. I will not be treated with disrespect. Disrespect, how dare you speak to me in such a manner? So by this dialogue also we can say that how upper class families or upper class people have in their mind that how lower class people should behave. Similar way in marriage also. These are the contemporary times. Dil Dhadakne Do by Zoya, and this is contemporary serial that Tosen and Namilaika, which is currently coming in the TV serial named Dangal. In this, we can say that all these three issues, religion, also class conflicts, and the marriage. Kuhu is the female character which is there in the this particular serial, and she is suffering from religious issues and class conflict. That she is uh, she is coming and she is marrying her husband with the dowry pratha, and she is constantly suffering in his uh, sasural. Okay, conclusion. In conclusion, we can say that these all three topics, religion, class, marriage, they are connected with each other. And in satirical way, we can say that these are evergreen topics in nowadays, or in neoclassical period, or we can say that in Pride and Prejudice also we find this kind of themes. We can say that this so-called evergreen issues from the period neoclassical to now, we can easily say that this issue remaining the same. Times by the times changes are going on, but still the system were remaining the same. These are some references, and thank you. If you have any question.
Ria, my question is, how does social class impact the choice of a marriage partner within a particular religious community?
Okay, as I already mentioned that how uh, religion, class, and marriage are interlinked with each other, and in some castes we find that internal marriage were there. If I am the child, then I have to marry with my uncle and auntie's son, and like that. Other castes, if I'm going to marry, then it is not acceptable. And also we can say that class maintaining, that is not our in our class. For example, if we take example not from Pamela and Rape of the Lock, but if we look on Pride and Prejudice, then how we can say that Lady Bracknell has their idea that how their daughter Elizabeth and all her daughter should marry with upper class family's son. So this is the answer. Next.
My question is, what were the key social classes in 18th century and how were they defined?
Okay. There are majorly key classes, social classes in the 18th century, and that is aristocracy people, that who leads. Secondly, upper class people and lower class people. Uh, in the class system, we know that how 18th century's writer tries to confess the reality of social situation. So we find that these three classical social classes, aristocracy, lower class, upper class people, and lower class people. Aristocracy people has no any objection because they are in the rule. Upper class people have enough money to survive, but who suffers? Middle class or lower class family. So this. Okay, thank you.
First of all, good afternoon to all of you present over here. My name is Reshma, and today I'm going to present the topic Robert Burns, the lyricist. So here we begin. This is my personal information. Now we'll talk about Robert Burns' introduction. Uh, he was he was born on 25th January 1759. He died in the year 21st July 1796. He was one of the Scottish poet and lyricist, and he was also known by the other names like the National Bard, Rabbi Burns, and Bard of Ayrshire. And he wrote many works. But today we'll talk about this famous works which are very most famous. Old Lang Syne, To a Mouse, A Fond Kiss, A Man's for a That, Halloween, A Red Rose. Now we'll talk about general features of his poem. He was a Scottish peasant poet, and he used of everyday simple language and Scottish dialects, and use of fresh vivid images and beauty of lyricism with deep feelings and musical. The themes or motives of he used is love for his country, love and friendship, and peasants. For example, we can take here the poem like a Red Rose and Old Lang Syne. Next, themes in lyrics. Burns' poetry often deals with the themes of love, nature, and politics, and he was known for his ability to capture the essence of Scottish culture in his writing. Burns' most famous work is undoubtedly Old Lang Syne, which is a song that is traditionally sang to celebrate the New Year. However, he also wrote many other notable works, including Tam O'Shanter, To a Mouse, and A Red Rose. Burns' writing was often inspired by his own life experiences, and he frequently used his poetry to comment on social and political issues of his time. And his works are also in present time are being celebrated today also. Means his works are today also that much famous when it was first. Next, his most traditional, we can say traditional song, Old Lang Syne, which is a poem, but it has been converted into a song. And it is one kind of traditional Scottish song that is commonly sung at New Year's Eve celebration around the world. The song's lyrics were written by Scottish poet Robert Burns in the year 1788, and the tune is believed to be an old Scottish folk melody. The phrase here, Old Lang Syne, roughly translates to old times' sake and the song. The song's popularity grew in the 20th century, particularly after it was featured in the 1946 film. His next poem is Red Rose, which is also one of the famous poem. Where this poem talks about the love. The poem, specifically a Rose, was written by Robert Burns in the year 1794. It is a love poem that compares the speaker's love to a red rose that is newly sprung in the June. Next, this is the conclusion of this Robert Burns as a lyricist. Here I have discussed the two poems. This you saw first here, Old Lang Syne and A Red Rose, in detail, which talks about uh, poems which were being converted into songs, and it is very famous throughout the Scottish place, we can say, and how he became a worldwide famous lyricist. This is my reference. Thank you. You can ask question if you have any questions. No.
My question is name any three famous works of Robert Burns and describe it briefly.
Okay. He has written many works, but I will say about his famous works. First is Old Lang Syne, which is a traditional song, which is most famous of him. Second is To a Mouse, which talks about the consequences. The third one is A Red Red Rose. This poem is also very famous, which is about love specifically. Any other question?
Sorry, I made mistake in this spelling. Lyrics, lyricist. Which themes are used by Robert Burns in his lyrics?
Robert Burn used the lyrics in his poem, like love, then politics, and of peasants. He used the themes here in his lyrics. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ended in. And in also. Attaching you have to hand in that you have not done.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Priyanshi and today I deal with this topic, the reflection of 18th century thought in the works of Thomas Gray. This is my personal information. So firstly, let's discuss about background on Thomas Gray. Born 26 December 1716, Cornhill, London, England. Died 30 July 1771, aged 54, Cambridge, England. Occupation: poet, historian, letter writer. Alma mater: Peter House, Cambridge, Eton College. Then his most famous works: Elegy written in country churchyard, and second one is Ode on a distant prospect of Eton College. Then Thomas Gray's poetry and rationalism. Gray's poetry reflects Enlightenment rationalism through its emphasis on reason, logic, and intellectual exploration. His works often exhibit a clear, rational structure and a focus on the pursuit of knowledge and understanding, aligning with the Enlightenment ideals of critical thinking and intellect. Then specific poems or line of Thomas Gray's poetry where reason and intellect are evident. In Elegy written in a country churchyard, Gray's use of precise and thoughtful language is seen in lines like the paths of glory lead but to the grave, demonstrate his emphasis on reason and intellect. This line reflects a rational perspective on the transitory nature of human achievements. Then nature and the sublime. Gray's fascination with nature in poem like Elegy written in a country churchyard aligns with 18th century thought which emphasizes the beauty of the natural world. His work reflects a growing interest in nature and its role as a source of inspiration and reflection during the Enlightenment. Thomas Gray's poems often contemplate the sublime in nature through vivid description of natural landscape and the emotions they inspire. This reflects the 18th century fascination with the power and grandeur of the natural world. Then Elegy written in a country churchyard. Originally published in 1751, author is Thomas Gray. Elegy written in a country churchyard exemplifies Gray's reflection on the human condition and social hierarchy by portraying the lives and aspiration of ordinary people buried in the churchyard. He highlights the idea that everyone, regardless of their social status, has dreams and potential, often unrealized. This underscores a critique of the rigid social hierarchy of his time and a focus on the commonality of human experience. Then influence of classical literature. Gray had a deep interest in classical literature, and this is evident in his works through the use of classical themes, allusion, and forms. His poem often drew inspiration from classical sources, and he incorporated elements of Greek and Roman literature into his writing, which added a sense of intellectual depth and timelessness to his poetry. This interest in classical literature contributed to the richness and sophistication of his work. Then conclusion, Thomas Gray's work served as a reflection of 18th century thought, especially the Enlightenment. Through their emphasis on reason, rationality, intellectual exploration, and a fascination with nature, his poetry embodies the Enlightenment values of intellect, critical thinking, and a deep appreciation for the natural world, making it a distinctive product of the era. This is my work cited. Thank you. Now you will ask question regarding my talk.
So, Priyanshi, my question to you is, in what ways did Gray's elegy written in a churchyard capture the 18th century fascination with nature and rural life?
Gray's elegy written in a churchyard captured the 18th century nature,
nature and transitory of a countryside.
How did Gray's poem engage with the moral and ethical question of the Englishman era?
Grace poem like Elegy written in country churchyard. Grace highlight the value of nature, the value of nature, highlight the value of nature and emphasized equality and encourage to the reader to reflect on living on a meaningful life. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, good evening. Today I will deal with the topic Obsession for Beauty in the Rape of the Lock, Significance in Modern Society. These are my personal information. This is the topics which I will deliver into this presentation. So let's firstly discuss Introduction to the Rape of the Lock. It's first published in 1712, but after some rewrite, it published again in 1714. It falls under the category of mock epic poem. And setting of the poem we can find in London, England, in the early 18th century. In the Rape of the Lock, we can find the characters like Belinda, who is a young woman who is very beautiful, and everyone were fascinated by her beauty. The Baron, a man who steals Belinda's curl of hair. Ariel, a sylph queen, and various other sylphs and gods. These are supernatural elements we can also find in the poem. Now let's discuss about Alexander Pope. Alexander Pope was born on 22nd May in 1688 in London, England. He was died on 13th May in 1744 in Twickenham, England. He was most famous poet of 18th century. He most famous for genres like mock heroic poetic poetry. His notable works are The Rape of the Lock, an essay on criticism, The Dunciad, and an essay on man. Now let's discuss obsession for beauty in The Rape of the Lock. We can find in the Rape of the Lock is written in 5 cantos. In the very first cantos, these are just some selected lines in which we can find that Belinda is very obsessed with her beauty. Not with the more glories in the dawn of youth, shone Venus, goddess of love and truth, as now Belinda in her coach of glass ascends triumphant to the selfish high mass. This is from Canto 1. We can see that in this canto, Pope tries to define the beauty of Belinda. Belinda's beauty is compared to the goddess Venus. Goddess Venus is a Roman goddess who is a goddess of love, fertility, and beauty. We can find that Pope describes her beauty in very descriptive language, highlights her beauty, that sparkling stars for her eyes, roses for her cheeks, coral for her lips, pearl necklace on her neck. Pope emphasizes her slender waist and full blossom, reflecting physical ideals of that time. Emphasis the obsession with beauty and appearance in society. We can see that in 18th century peoples are very obsessed with outer look or outer beauty of Belinda, and we can find that Clarissa is also a very important part of the poem, but everyone just centralize Belinda just because of her outer beauty. It highlights the poem's satire on trivial and superficial values. In the second canto, we can find these lines that now awful beauty puts on all her arms, and Venus threatens with her powerful charms. Each powder puffs a fragrant grain, each gentle air conveys the balmy rain. In this line, we can find that Belinda uses cosmetics like powder and perfume to enhance her beauty. We can see that she woke up like Karan Johar movie. We can feel like there is a one movie which is scenario which continues towards our eyes. She dresses in the finest clothes and jewelry. The description indicates that she dedicates a significant time and efforts to her appearance. She takes lot of time to get ready. Emphasize the societal emphasis on beauty and the lengths individuals go to maintain it. Now we can connect it with modern society. We can connect with serial Pinjra Khubsurti Ka. In Indian daily soap, generally we can find that theme of that Sas Bahu, but this particular serial which is on air on in 2020 on Colors TV. This Pinchra Khubsurtika tells story about Dr. Mayura. She is a very beautiful girl, but she lived her life very unhappily because everyone just praises her beauty. No one praises her skills and the talent she had. Now another example we can find the Glow and Lovely. We all are familiar with that Glow and Lovely, which is at first it is published as it is marketed as Fair and Lovely, but after some case and some problems, they change their name and they change Glow and Lovely. That we can find if we apply Glow and Lovely, then we are selecting in various jobs. So we can find with these two examples, we can find that today's modern society also had mindset of similar like 18th century's mindset, and we can see that Rape of the Lock is also a story which is written based on true story, or story of Arabella and Peter. And also Riya mentioned that there's Tose Nenami like so this serial we can connect with that Kuhu and her sister Hansini. That Hansini is very beautiful, so she get very high status in society. So in conclusion, we can say that this type of we can think that this type of mentality only lives in 18th century, but no, with this type of example and with many example of our current situation, or we can find that this type of mentality also live in today's world also. These are some references, and thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Pallavi, my question is, how do the heroines in the Rape of the Lock and Pinjra Khubsurti Ka differ from each other?
Yeah, that I also said that they are heroines, or like Rape of the Lock, we had Belinda, and in Pinjra Khubsurti Ka, heroine name is Mayura. That Belinda is very obsessed with her beauty, and she take lot of time to to in makeup and get ready. But in Pinjara Khubsurti Ka, Mayura has different mindset, because she believes that my qualifications or my skills is more important than my beauty. So in that aspect, we can say that they are different from each other. Any other questions?
So, Pallavi, my question to you is, according to you, why is it important to discuss the significance of beauty in our current society?
Yes, this is very important to discuss this topic in that importance of beauty, not outer beauty, but we develop that type of sense that we have to look on our inner beauty or a person's heart. We can say that not their outer look. So we are a person. We can connect with each other from heart, from inner beauty. We can exemplify each other. Thank you. Hello everyone. My name is CHAVDA Nanda, and today's my topic name is Character Sketch of Mr. B in Samuel Richardson novel of Pamela. This is my personal information. Table of contents about the Samuel Richardson, introduction about the novel, good and bad characteristics of Mr. B, and unethical behavior of Mr. B with Pamela, and the conclusion. First of all, see writer about the novel of Pamela. Samuel Richardson was born in 1689, was an English writer. He is famous for his novel Pamela, published in 1714. Pamela is one of the earliest novel in the English literature. Richardson worked as a printer by trade. He used the epistolary, means the letter form in his novel, and his writing also famous for that time. He passed away in 1761, leaving a lasting impact on English literature. And this is the first epistolary novel. So he um, um, foremost works Pamela. Foremost works of Samuel Richardson, first Pamela, and then he wrote Clarissa and Sir Charles Grandison. First, we know about the brief overview of Pamela. Pamela, or Virtue River Dead, is famous novel written by Samuel Richardson. It tells the story of a young woman named Pamela Andrews. And Pamela, she is very looking good and also courageous girl. And Mr. B, he was a good gentleman, or not good, but his character like duality. Mr. B tries to make advances towards the Pamela, but she wants to protect her virtue and remain a virtuous person. The story is all about the Pamela's efforts to stay true her principles and challenges she faces because of Mr. B's unwanted advances. The novel explores the themes of virtue and social class and the power dynamics between men and women in the 18th century. In the end, virtue is rewarded, and the novel shows importance of standing up for one's value. Unethical behavior of Mr. B with Pamela. Mr. B is the type of character who was unwillingly to take Pamela virtuous against her will. He came up with so many false plans. When Pamela was writing a letters to her parents, she wrote 29 letters, but two are taken by Mr. B. Pamela's and Mr. B were not having any kind of relationship. So Mr. B cannot touch and kiss Pamela whenever he wants. Good and bad characteristics of Mr. B. In the early part of the story, when the Mr. B mother passes away, he initially appears generous by offering Pamela money. As the narrative progresses, Mr. B presents himself as a man who is committed to being kind and considerate to other, but his true intentions are revealed to be less than honorable. In Pamela, Mr. B's characters and actions are somewhat complex. So we cannot define here Mr. B is good or bad. Conclusion: while the story is set in the 18th century, themes remains relevant today. In contemporary times, women are facing the same situation what the Pamela had faced suffer in novel. My reason for choosing the characters of Mr. B is because today the society seems to be fall the person like be Mr. B. Um, he can be your relative, neighbors, friends, or anyone a woman badly need to recognize such evils of society. This is work cited, and thank you. And now anyone question to ask me?
My question is, what is the significance of the novel Pamela in the history of literature?
Pamela novel, which is written in epistolary novel, means written in letter form. So it is the convey to, it is first that is like novel in which written in letter. So and so that next question you want.
Nanda, my question is, according to you, is Mr. B is a protagonist or antagonist in this story?
In the story, in first we can see he is a protagonist of the novel, but the end of the time when study and some time after his behavior changes. First behavior he's like
he used to Pamela and want to Pamela, but steadily he realized he not skip her virtue. So that is we connect in protagonist of or antagonist. We not connect find in who is this.
I think we have to from Foster, Victorians. Let it be done, no problem. Let us listen, I think, the second last one.
Sir, there is one date is missing because in 29th it is like evening session. So that is
Let it be done. This is which session? Evening, right? But date is 29.
yes, sir. That is missed. In that day 3, there is also the it is interchange.
Mhm.
The date.
Hello everyone, my name is KINJAL. Today I am going to topic about Rape of the Lock, a heroic epic poem. This is my personal information. This is points to ponder. First point is about Alexander Pope life. Pope was born on May 21, 1688 to a wealthy Catholic linen merchant, Alexander Pope, and his second wife, Edith Turner. In the same year, the Protestant William of Orange took the English throne. Alexander, Alexander Pope used the heroic couplet extensively in his work. Pope is the most quoted poet. Pope is also remembered as the first full-time professional English writer, having supported himself largely on subscription fees for his popular translation of Homer and his edition of the work of William Shakespeare. The rise of modernism, however, revived interest in pre-romantic poetry, and Pope's use poetic form and irony made him of particular interest to them. new critics. Second point is about the rape of the law. In the rape of the law, the word rape means to seize, to take, or to snatch. It refers to how the Baron seized Belinda's lock of hair. The reason Pope chose the word rape and not seize is to satire a non-tragic scenario with a word that is associated with much more violent assault. Rape of the Law published in 1712 and second published in 1740. Third point, what is the mock heroic? Mock epic, also called mock heroic, form of satire that adapts the elevated heroic style of the classical epic poem to a trivial subject. The kind of poetic parody that flourished during his time is known as a mock heroic poetry. Mock heroic poetry is poetry that uses the trapping and characteristic of traditional epic poetry to address common everyday subject matter, typically in a satire, ironic, or hyperbolic manner. The outstanding English mock epic is Alexander Pope's brilliant Tour de Force, The Rape of the Law, which concerns a society views theft of lock of hair from a society bill. Pope treated in so the incident as it if it were comparable to event that sparked the Trojan War. In 1740, the expand it to 5 cantons, with additional scan and elaborate mock epic machinery of Rosicrucian supernatural that he got from a book called the Comte de Gables. Fourth point, style. Mock epic poetry is literary genre that infuse satire into well-known classical works to convey new observation about contemporary culture and modern social issue. The heroic style related to the mock heroic, which the style of a poem emulated the formal properties of epic poetry to a comic purpose in the mock epic form. This poem is considered a part of the poem and written are Virginia style. And mock heroic work take a style and meter and ending with pentameter couplet. This is conclusion. Throughout the poem, these two doctrines of deism are kept in sight. That there is a God, a mystery, who dwells apart from the world, and that man ought to be content, contented, even happy, in his ignorance of matters beyond his horizon. All nature is but art, unknown to thee. All chance, direction, which thought canst not see. All discord, harmony not understood, all partial evil, universal good, and spite of pride. In erring reason spite, one truth is clear, whatever is right. This is reference. Thank you. If you have any question, you ask.
Kinjal, my question is, how does the rape of the law mock epic conventions?
It lacks trivial event. The trivial event. The cutting of Belinda's lock of hair and it treats with convention and It lacks a trivial event, the cutting of Belinda's lock of hair, and it's rich with um,
Next to ask question, remember, put your question. You will not change the name also.
Change profile.
But name,
So you already were able to
but name you can change. You can't change the URL. Name of the channel can be changed.
My question is, what is a mock heroic epic poem?
a more heroic epic poem is a satirical work. Satirical work of and the convents to the traditional epic poetry and typically using the uh, typically using the battle and thank you.
Change it. I think there's another group of this download. See the sent items of email. Open the mailbox of Dilip Barad at gmail.com. And in the sent items, you see 29th October, that sent item, that you download.
Okay, sir.
The previous one is downloaded. About this, about
Yeah.
about the first thing, open the first thing, about mail delivery.
Okay.
There is a link. Click on it. Download, not download, go down, go back to the mail, scroll down. And here you'll be able to see today's
Okay, sir.
Neoclassical Irving.
That's it.
That right now you will download. Others later on. With the banners, along with the banners. And search your Neo. scroll down, there will be two lines. See carefully where it is down below. GOHIL examines the three column. Three columns and that follow like this. So
Is it fine?
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is KHUSHI RATHOD. I discuss critically analyze Robert Burns' Red Rose poem. This is my personal information. This is the point to discuss. First, poem written by Robert Burns, published 17-19-14. Poem divided 4 stanza and each stanza in 4 lines. Robert Burns, 1759 to 1796 timeline, born January 25, 1759, Scotland, died July 21, 1796, Dumfriesshire. He was a poet and lyricist. His nickname, Robbie Burns. He's known 300 songs which celebrate love, friendship, work, and drink. He known as the National Bard of Scotland. This is the poem To a Mouse, published 1785, To a Mountain Daisy, Heroine, and To a Louse, three poem same year, published 1786, Tame o' Shanter, published 1791, A Red Red Rose, published 1794. This is the whole poem. In the first stanza, a poet compare his beloved red rose, symbolize her beauty and freshness. He also likens her to sweet melody, emphasizing delightful and enchanting nature of her presence of in his life. Second stanza. The second stanza, the speaker continue praise his beloved beauty and affectionately calls her my bonny lass. He pleads his love to her, proclaiming that he will continue loving her until the seas run dry. This metaphorical promise signifies the eternal nature of his love, as the seas going dry is an impossible event. The third stanza. In the third stanza, the speaker reinforces his vow of eternal love, stating that he will continue loving her until the rocks melt with the heat of the sun. This poetic hyperbole further emphasizes the everlasting nature of his affection. The speaker's words are a testament to the unwavering commitment and devotion he feels toward his beloved. In the first stanza, the speaker conclude the bittersweet farewell between the speaker and his beloved. Despite the temporary separation, he expressed his care and concern her well-being, wishing her a good life for future. His promise to return, even if the journey is long and time-consuming, his commitment and dedication to their relationship. The poems end on a hopeful note, with the speaker's promise surviving as a beacon of hope for their further union. These themes, love and passion. Second, time. Third, duty and responsibility. Conclusion. The beloved of the speaker is as beautiful as the red rose and as sweet as the music. With the help of the literary devices, the poet has sketched a very vivid and realistic picture of his profound love. The poet shared his romantic love for his beloved in the poem A Red Red Rose, where his feelings are so profound. He also made several promises to always love his beloved. This is the references. Thank you. Any question you ask me?
My question, what is the significance of the repetition of the chorus of Oh my love is like a red red rose throughout the poem?
Nanda, the repetition of the phrase "Oh my love" like a red red rose throughout the poem, the speaker emphasizes the love for their his beloved, for praises naturally and then beautifully passionate, and then he compared beautiful nature thing a red rose. Second question.
This is my question. How does the poem use language to create a sense of intimacy and passion?
Yeah. KINJAL. The poem use many variety of poetic device such as "Oh my love" like red red rose. The speaker, the scenery of the details and the passionate language sings love. Thank you.
Okay, so we had some good presentations by these students, Yashraj, Unnati, Trupti, Shruti also relatively good. Riya made a good one. Reshma's good. Priyanshi, Pallavi, Nanda. This. Uh, Kinjal and Khushi. Kinjal, you need to improve a lot because very simple words are also not pronounced clearly. Very simple English words. Also, you are making mistake in pronouncing. So you have to do lots of rehearsal. Otherwise, the others are quite good in speaking and making a good presentation also. The only thing you need to improve is to work on proper citation part so that you can get a better score in that most of you are lacking that part, and quality works needs to be referred there. Okay, so we end today's session and tomorrow will be our third presentation.